Okay, we're going to, good evening, everybody. We're going to call to order the December 10th meeting of the Finance Committee. And if we could all stand and do a pledge to the flag.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Now, we have a couple new members tonight, and we're not, and I know Jim from before, but I don't know Jack, and so I think we could do a quick introduction of all of us, so they know who we are and we know who they are. So we'll start out with the three of us that are on the committee, and then Jack and Jim can just give us, 30 seconds on who you are. So I'm Pat Maher. I'm the chair of the Finance Committee. I've been on this about 6 years now. My background is got many years in the Carver School Department as both business manager and assistant superintendent. Probably got 30-some years in municipal finance altogether. And so that's part of what I do, and we'll go over to Tony.
Yeah, Tony McCreena. I don't even know how long, maybe 4 years, 5 years?
Yeah.
Time flies. But I am in the retail, finance, accounting business. Been doing it for pretty much my whole work life, so. Currently work for Home Depot. So.
Good, thank you. Walter?
Walter Cole, retired town employee, and I run the food pantry in town, and I've been here for, I don't know, 3 or 4 years.
Yeah, that's good. I'm also retired, so that's good. Jack?
I'm Jack Spinetto. I've lived in Carver for 28 years. I'm in the restaurant business. I've been manager in the restaurant business for 50 years. So currently I'm the general manager at Dave's Diner in Middleborough. I've been there for 28 years.
Okay, good. Jim?
I'm Jim Elliman. I moved to Carver about 3 years ago. My predominant background is in real estate development. I work for Shaw's, and I'm also on the RDA board.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you, everybody.
You want me to go, Pat, just for Jack? I don't think we met. My name's Glenn Cannon.
I'm sorry.
I'm the town administrator, and Dave's Diner is one of my favorite restaurants. How's that?
Ask me when you come in.
My name is Karen Caval, I'm the finance director. Nice to meet you.
Okay, good. Sorry, I didn't mean to snub you
I
guys.
speak for Jack. I haven't met Jack, so.
Okay, that's good. So we've got, one of the things we've got to do, just the two new people can, I'm sure, abstain, but we just got a set of minutes from October 20th, which you've got a copy of. And if we could just get those approved, we can have a motion to approve.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes from October 20th, Finance Committee.
Okay. Second, Walter. Okay. Any further discussion on that? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And I'm sure we got 2 abstentions. Okay, good, thank you. So the minutes are good. And now we'll get into some budget presentations, and we'll start with John Neely, Information Technology.
Good evening.
Thank you, John.
How are we doing tonight?
Good, how are you?
Good. So, let me give you guys this information too. We have something to follow.
Is that different than we have?
It's just the backup to what.
Okay.
I think we already have it.
You do. Probably multiple copies.
What's that?
15.
Presentation.
Yeah.
15 minutes.
Okay. As I entered the room tonight, Karen handed me an adjusted budget, which is fine. So what you have in front of you is accurate to $400.
Okay.
All right, so in the other purchase services and town copier leases, we just renewed the lease contract, because the current lease that we have is up on the 13th of this month. So we've got new copiers in town coming in. The new lease is all-inclusive, so it includes all the toner, all the print supplies minus paper and staples. So, and that worked out to be right around $3,300 per month for all the copiers. Total, I believe, is 10 copiers. So multiple in this building, a couple over at the police station. New copier for COA, a new copier for the DPW garage on Pond Street, all inclusive in that. Clearly the COA and the DPW are definitely much smaller machines. They're not full-size copiers, but
You know that copiers can be like a black hole as far as that goes. Do you still find them on the state bid list?
yes,
Okay.
yes.
That was-
Yes, these were on the state bid list, but they were also through Omnia. So these are on the Omnia contract. Which ultimately we got better pricing than the state bid list. Under additional, on the next page over, additional equipment, we got some monies in there for server repair and server warranties, battery backup replacement units, data wiring and maintenance, upgrades and adds. That's to, cover if there's some, bad wire, because you never know when a network wire is going to go bad. Monitor replacements and repairs, and various other replacements, parts, cables, adapters, printers, and scanners, because we do have some desktop printers still lying around that, sometimes just die. And then computer system replacements per se, only if it was something that went bad out of the replacement schedule. And then the big stuff, which is the computer software and subscriptions. We have a consultant, an IT consultant that helps, from time to time, especially when, the IT manager is on vacation. Somebody else for the IT manager to reach out and talk to and bounce ideas off of, and off our support. The RMM software, which is, RMM stands for Remote Managing and Monitoring. That is used to scan all the computers in the town for vulnerabilities. It's used for remote accessing all the computers in town. It also does provide some base level antivirus software, as well as, it gives access to other departments as well, that they can log into their own computers as well, i.e. the police department, fire department have access to this dashboard to be able to control their own computers. The internet for the town, which is currently being installed, it should be installed hopefully within the next 30 days. That is something new, as I've been informed that the school wants to separate us because they're on one internet connection and technically the town shouldn't be using it. Microsoft licensing, that's the big number here. Unfortunately, we can't get around that. Microsoft Office 365 licensing is expensive, flat out. It's just, it's expensive, and can't control it. Microsoft controls the price, and that's it. I can say that there hasn't been a large increase in a couple years. I would, because this is kind of early for Microsoft to release their updating. There may be a price increase, but I haven't heard anything about a price increase coming. I know that Microsoft is increasing for private sector. They're doing some increases there, but I haven't heard anything about the about public licensing. Domains, our carverma.gov domain as well as .org. We have a contract with a company to manage the telephones in the building, and then we have the website hosting. That company that hosts the carverma.gov. Backup software for Office 365. Mandatory because you can't rely on Microsoft to have a backup, because if they go down and they lose everything, then we're done. Antivirus and EDR, that's another larger item, and you cannot go without the EDR software. So that's early detection and response. So that is managed by the company. They monitor everything that comes and goes, and if they get something, they will remediate it for us. So it takes a piece off the IT plate to have to look at all those logs on a regular on a everyday basis. Then we get into Vadar. We have 46 users in Vadar. We still have some SoftWrite licensing. And then there's that professional development and travel line that you see there. That's a $400. That's actually going to be a zero line item. And then other software subscriptions not listed, which is Adobe software, NoviSign software, and some various other small pieces of software. That the NoviSign software is what runs those TVs in the hall.
Okay, John, just quickly about, we got Vadar and SoftWrite in there, but
Yep.
we also may have a new system in for
Right.
next year, so.
Correct.
Is that?
That is not in this budget.
Okay. So.
Yeah, I was gonna say, Mr. Chairman,
Go ahead.
if we do go with that, that'll be a capital request to purchase,
Oh,
at least for the
okay.
first year, and then as we get into the maintenance of it, it'll go into the IT budget for FY '28.
Okay, so if we do get the new system in, not if, just when, we've been talking if for too long. Then what happens with the Vadar and the SoftWrite
Well,
budgets?
I would
here?
say that it depends on it. So there's a lot of factors into that. So I would say the Vadar would drop down to you could drop the Vadar down to the absolute minimum. We wouldn't need 46 users, but maybe 2 users or 5. Whatever the minimum is that Vadar would want is what I would suggest that gets
Okay.
dropped to,
Yeah.
the absolute minimum dollar spend, because you don't want to just get rid of it right away. You need to hold on to it for a little bit of reference, make sure, the new software, is just everything from in Vadar should be transferred over to the new software. Flat out, that's the way it should be done. And the SoftWrite, you're gonna have to maintain the access to the SoftWrite, because the SoftWrite has data in it that is older than Vadar,
Okay.
that was never transferred into Vadar.
Okay, so.
If it is the case that that the town chooses to go with Springbrook, which is SoftWrite, then that could be a completely different picture, where Springbrook, we wouldn't have to pay for the SoftWrite licenses, because that would be part of that package.
Yeah, so we're just kind of waiting on that bid, but
Yeah.
that's not part of your budget, so that's
Right,
good.
not
Thank
part
you.
of my budget yet.
Okay, good, thank you.
And the last piece is payroll. But like I said, everything on this budget, I agree with everything that, the cuts that I've talked to Glenn and Karen about. Everything is good. And this is a service level funded budget.
Okay, good. Does anybody have any questions for John?
I just have the backup system, is that cloud-based or is it?
Yes,
Okay.
cloud-based. When you get into the server backups, some server backups, we do have some local server backups as well, but clearly there's no expense involved in that current moment.
We're good? Okay, well, thank you, John.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. And then we'll hear from Carol at the library. So we've got to find out what's page number of the library budget?
So you're gonna,
Way in the back. It's like culture and recreation.
you're gonna go to tab 5. And it's under page 33.
Okay, there we go. Okay, good, thank you.
Hold on a second. So Jim, I think you're in capital.
Oh, is tab 5 here?
There are actually 2 tab 5s, yeah. I think you got that.
There we go, library.
Yeah,
I got
there
it.
we
I just
go.
picked the big tab 5. Easier on my vision.
Okay, Carol?
How's it? For those of you who don't know me, I'm Carol Julius. I'm the library director. I've been your Town of Carver library director for 26 years, so.
I remember when you came.
What's that?
I remember when you came.
Yeah, you're one of the only people that's kind of still here, you and Tom Walsh. I think everybody
Yep,
else
right.
is, we're the old guard, and you're retired, so.
Yeah, but I'm an old guy.
I'll be
Yeah.
joining you one of these days. Anyway, so in terms of our budget, under salaries, which is what I have in the first section, that's all contractual with just the one big ask that I had talked about with the select board. And I know that some of you were at that meeting as well. I did a salary analysis with our assistant director, who is way under budget in comparison to the comparable towns that Carver uses. Her salary was significantly lower in every community except for one, and in that one it was only off by 10 cents more per hour. So I'm proposing that we move the assistant director from a grade F to a grade E. I think that, the job requires a master's degree, which it didn't used to, but we have now, added that. The assistant director has that. She basically acts as me if I'm not there. She handles all kinds of adult programming, the adult collection. She trains and does onboarding with all our new employees. And, in terms of, equity and wanting to keep her here. She's a Carver resident, which I think is very helpful. Last year when we had a lot of heating problems, which I know you were all aware of, because she lives so close by, she was able to come down and handle things when the library was closed. And I think it's not about fairness, but it's about retention. It's not just about fairness, but it's about retention and stability for the program. I mean, like I told you, I've been here 26 years, so, I'm looking at retiring in the next few years, and my hope would be that Stephanie would take my place. And this is a way to keep her in that. So that is an increase. I have it written down. From grade F, grade E, step 5 is $35.47 an hour, and grade F, step 5 would have been $31.51. So it's about $7,000 more. But everything else is the same. We have a good staff, and almost everybody else is in the union, so that's contractual. As far as expenses go, I met with Glenn today, and, we went over the recommended decreases that he and Karen have come up with, and I have no issue with those. I'm very pleased that he supports the salary change. So for professional services, coming down a little bit on that is fine. That just covers things like our website development, anything that if we have to hire a consultant or a performer or something like that to come in, we do use the money for that. Seminar and training, and reducing that a little bit is fine. We didn't even go to a conference last year, but that is what that covers when we go to conferences. And then everything else is pretty self-explanatory. The hotspot, or the Wi-Fi hotspots that we loan out to patrons, is very popular. Postage is mostly due to the passports that we mail, because every passport that we bring in, we have to mail. Every application that we do, we mail priority mail. So and the cost of priority mail has gone up. And then the library network, that covers everything from circulation to cataloging, our inventory, everything that we do in terms of circulating materials to patrons, periodicals and newspapers, books, that's all pretty self-explanatory. And even with the little bit of reductions that Glenn is recommending, we'll still be well within meeting our municipal appropriation requirement for the state of Massachusetts, so there wouldn't be any waiver issues with that.
Okay, so how about your budget this year? Everything going okay?
Yes, we sort of came in on the skin of our teeth with this year. We made it by $700. I was adding those numbers up and because for you guys, not to get into the weeds too much, but the state has a couple of requirements for us to be certified, and one of them is that the budget has to go up an average of 2.5% over the previous 3 years. And what had happened a few years ago was we did a couple of consolidations of positions. It was my idea, it was a reorganization when the previous assistant director retired. It was a better way to run the department, but it saved the town money, but it then looked like a reduction when the state looked at my figures. So we kind of had to build that back up a little bit. And then the other requirement they have is that our materials expenditure, which includes not just books, but also periodicals, newspapers. We can even, a little bit of the money that we spend on hotspots can be used for materials, museum passes, all that, has to be 16% of our bottom line. So those are there too. There's other things like minimum hours and things, but in terms of finances, those are the two things the measures that we have to meet. So, questions?
Go ahead.
I was going to say, just to support Carol here, one thing the select board made a point of last year's budget was having that second in command and making sure there was somebody to take over. In case the department head stepped away or took another job, in this case, the department head may be contemplating retirement sometime in the future, and we want to make sure that's as seamless as possible. And then the next thing being, just as you get into this, myself as a town administrator and the select board, we always want to be competitive with our surrounding towns. We don't want employees just kind of coming in. We don't, put it this way, we don't want to be the training ground for all the other towns is what it comes down to. You know, if you're the lowest paying town, you'll get employees, you'll do the training, and then those employees will find other towns to go to work for and you'll be losing them. And you get into this cycle of just, again, being the training ground for these other towns. It's not a good place to be. You know, you spend more time rehiring new employees and always takes so many time to get up to speed.
It costs more money to do that too.
It does.
Correct, that's what I mean, in the long run, it costs more money. And then the other thing too, like Carol was alluding to, you know, we've made a lot of cuts in budgets this year. It's a very tight year for us, budget-wise, overall. You know, the revenue just hasn't come in the way we had anticipated, so we had to make a lot of hard cuts. I want to thank all the department heads because we, you know, sat down with them and really discussed those cuts with them. And they worked with us to, you know, Mr. Neely, who's just here, you know, helped us cut money out of his budget. Very difficult budget to cut because a lot of his things are contractual, so you know, it's hard, you can't cut a contract, but on the expense side, we were able to do it. Carol, all the department heads, great to work with.
I got a question. So what
Sure.
is the percent increase in that salary if you were a percent?
I think it was 7
7%?
or 9. It's 9. It's 9.
Does
Yeah.
that count towards the 2.5%?
Sure, so bottom line is everything, yep. Yeah, so that's helpful with that, especially with the little bit of cuts in the expenses, that sort of will offset that, yeah.
So is our feeling, though, that you're feeling that that position was just underfunded in the past, and that's why we're increasing it 9%?
Right, it's been underfunded, I would say, since we created it, and, I mean, we created that, 12 years ago when I started doing the Council on Aging as well as the library, because we felt like we needed to have that, but at that time, budgets were really, really bad. So we just sort of plugged it in where we could afford it, and we've never really been able to go back and address it. But now with, you know, with Stephanie there and where she was able to get her master's in library science last year, since the last budget cycle, I feel like this is the time where we can say, yeah, we, you know, in a community of this size and you know, when you look at that facility and what we're in, you know, responsible for, I think it's appropriate to require that master's degree for not just the director, which the state requires you do it for the director, but also for the assistant director. And you know, to Glenn's point, he's right. I serve on the select board in East Bridgewater, and we are sort of a training ground these days because our salaries have been low. And the thing that's always, to me, is the worst is when somebody leaves and then you have to up the salary to hire someone new. And that's just, you know, you never want to be in that position, so.
That's good. Any questions for Carol?
Great.
Anybody? Thank you, Carol.
Thank you all. Happy holidays.
Same to you.
You too?
Okay, next we're supposed to have Board of Health, but I gotta note that, Kevin may not be able to be here
Direct
tonight.
his personal matter.
So it's a good thing we've got these other guys here that show up early. And,
Always.
so how about, Dave? You're up.
In your binder, it's the small tab 3,
What is it?
the small tab.
There we go.
Found it.
So,
Good evening.
Okay, Dave.
So I'm Dave Seentuff. I'm the Director of Operations and Maintenance. For those that are new, my department oversees all 15 municipal buildings. That includes both school buildings. My role is to maintain all those buildings. We maintain all the public areas, ball fields, playgrounds, anything the town owns, we oversee. I also oversee the DPW operations, 40 square miles of land, 125 miles of roadway. So that's what our department does.
That all?
So you'll see the first line item in the department head, there's a large decrease in that. The reason for that is that's always been listed as department head, but it always was that it was my salary, my deputy director's salary, and my facilities manager's salary. I separated that, so what you see in the FY27 is just my salary. So just for transparency, it says department head, so it is now only the department head. Next line went up $2,000. That is license and contract stipends. Those are obligations we have through our DPW union employees. With the contract they have, they get increases every year that are negotiated through their bargaining, so that needed a $2,000 increase. Longevity, you'll see actually decreased. The reason for that, I had a long-term employee retire. So that actually dropped that line down. Regular salaries had a large increase. The reason for that is first part is the contractual obligation across the board for all the employees, and then also those two salaries I just mentioned, my deputy director, my facilities manager, are now in that line of regular salaries. So that is the large increase for that. Clerical salaries, that's contractual with my administrative assistant, who is in the clerical union. So that wraps up my salaries. Do we have any questions on those? Okay. Going down, Glenn and I met today over changes. I agreed to, the decrease, the $1,512 on my stormwater management. I can make that number work for the recommended FY27. I'll just go over the ones now that, the next ones that are increased are my well contracted services, increased $18,000. The reason for that is we have a new well operator this year. What they do, they run our 3 municipal wells right now, which takes care of the downtown complex area here, including the housing complex out back, and all the municipal buildings in town, and then each school is a public water supply that they are contracted to operate. That number is for their services, does not include chemicals and testing. So that basically is just for their services to show up and oversee the wells. Next number down, rubbish and waste disposal. That is an increase. What that is for is all the dumpsters at all our public buildings. So town hall, police station, fire station, schools, that's contracted to have them come in and do a daily or weekly, however it's contracted, depending on where the dumpster is. That's also for what we, unforeseen. People dump a lot of trash. Carver has a lot of dirt roads, not busy roads. People like to dispose of appliances and stuff that they don't want to pay for. We have to pick it up. Now we have to get rid of it. So that's included in that line. Last one down, I went up $4,000 was Uniforms and allowance, that's contractual for the employees. Safety gear, high-vis, foul weather gear, things of that nature. I did go down 1,000 on contractual obligations. That was actually that primarily covers me and my deputy director, just for things they say $1,000 is fine with that. What I just would like to go back and address is I did have, from my request to what I talked with Glenn today on building repair and maintenance, is level funded for FY '27 went a level funded at FY '26 numbers. It's a $33,000 shortfall of what I'm asking for. Equipment repair and maintenance is $4,400 short. Capital maintenance is $25,500 short. DPW stock inventories is $5,000 short, and the one I just spoke of, the contractual obligations. The reason I'm bringing these up, if these are the numbers that we need to make work for the budget, I'm a team player. I've been doing this for 20 years. I've never had to, I think I've gone once in my 20 years, I've had to come to the finance committee for money for a large unforeseen we had back many years ago. I live within my numbers. My job basically is to protect the town's assets. My philosophy is maintain before failure. These numbers that I mentioned are what I feel I need to make everything as perfect as it can be. What I oversee is very fluid. I could have a mechanical failure in any of these buildings, and it's a large number. So we try to maintain them the best we can. With these numbers being level funded for FY '26, everything goes up every year. I will do my best. I will do some juggling. I may have to defer a couple contracts. I'll look at it and use my best judgment. But I just wanted that known that I will work with these numbers, but if I have to come to Finance Committee for something, that's what I'll have to do possibly with some of these numbers being short. I just wanted it to be aware that I was asleep at the wheel. I don't want that saying, why wasn't this there? Not placing blame or looking to point fingers at anybody. It's just, my job is to tell you what I feel we need. But the numbers are the numbers, I understand that. But I just wanted it known that we are short here. If there's money found, when state numbers come in, whatever, if some of these could be backfilled a little bit, that'd be great. But we'll cross that bridge when we come to it.
Okay, any questions for Dave on FY '27? No, well, Dave, can you give us a little blurb about both last year, how your department fared, and how you're doing this year, as we're about halfway through?
Yeah, this year, really now, winter time is when a lot of things, happen. I have a heating system down right now in the back building. So those are just unforeseens. It's an older system. It does some garage bays, but I do have water back there, so I need to keep some things heated back there. So there's a lot of those unknowns that come up. Right now, I'm okay. Last year, I think we fared well. I was about even for FY '25. We're in FY '26 now. Winters, you'll see, utilities it's always, it's an educated guesstimate, I like to call it. I don't know what we're going to use for gas in this building. I don't know what we're going to use for electricity. You use trending charts and try to figure out where we are. My gasoline went up quite a bit, for the vehicles. We pay for the gasoline, for all the town vehicles. We pay that bill. That had to go up quite a bit the last few years where I've been short on that. So that's why this year the increase was there, because it's shown the last 2 years we've been short. The new buildings we have, it's like buying a new car. You buy a new car, you've probably gotten rid of some of your big headaches, expenses for a couple of years, but you still got to change the oil. And what we're finding in the elementary school, I just spent $2 million. We put new mechanical in the library. Those have to be maintained. We can't just say, all right, we're good for 5 or 10 years. You know, we need people to come in and keep up on these things. And the newer systems, they're very complicated, and they cost more money. They save you on electricity. You know, everything's high efficiency, but there's a lot of maintenance required to them. There's just no way around that. You know, we have a new fire station, new police station, new equipment in the library. The elementary school, you know, is costing me a lot of money on the school side. School budget is not in this. I run a separate school budget. Those numbers, that's in the school department's budget, that when you come to that time, all there. I oversee the operations for the school department as well. So these numbers are just your municipal buildings, not including the 2 school buildings.
And we'll have the school department in separately at another time.
Yep. So I just, like I say, I feel if these are the numbers, then yes, I'll do my absolute best to, you know, I've been doing this for 20 years here for the town, 19 years. I've never had an issue. You know, I don't just blindlessly spend money. I'm also a resident, and I'm very conscientious of the taxpayers' money. So whatever it takes, we'll do.
I know the repair budgets, there's not a day I walk into my building that I don't have to make a repair phone call.
Yeah.
And I only have one building.
Yeah, and I mean, these buildings, like on the school side, I have over 1,000 people a day in those buildings, in and out. I mean, they take their wear and tear. Town hall does, the library does. Every building gets a lot of use.
So David and I did have to sit down today, and I want to thank Dave. You've seen Dave, he's made substantial cuts to his budget to help us balance the budget of the overall town budget. And like Dave was talking about, you know, if something comes up, you know, I told him I would support him when we come, if we have to come back to the finance committee, because again, he's working these numbers the best he can. He's going to do the best he can to save us money, but who knows, you know, the roof's going to leak tomorrow, a generator's going to burn out. You know, you just never know what's going to happen, these kind of things.
I mean,
and when that happens, we have to be able to respond to it.
Yeah, and overall, through the support of the Capital Outlay Committee, over the last, 7 years since I've been on the town side, I was just on the school side, and I moved over to take over both. The Capital Outlay has supported my department greatly. I'd like to thank them. So we've made a lot of improvements. Last year, there's a new roof on this building, a new roof on the library. We've done a lot. So I'd like to continue that. So we're making good strides. It's not like, I think there was a time back a little while ago, the town just didn't have the money and didn't spend it, and that catches up with you. It ends up costing you more money when you can only defer maintenance for so long before it bites you, where. So
We had a situation, we talked about this a little bit, and Dave talks about, the repairs and maintenance done on both this building and the library. We actually bonded that to hurry that along and not to wait for when we had the money, because we'd never have the money.
Yep.
So, and that was a very good thing to do. Bonding, conservatively, strategically is a real asset for getting some of these bigger ticket items done. And we did it. And, the center of the town looks great. Everything, it was starting to fade a little bit.
mhm.
And brought everything back up, and it looks great. Dave does a great job. And, if you have some issues, you're always welcome to come back to the Finance Committee.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Any questions or comments for Dave?
If you can keep this close, I think that would be great. I have 150 Shaw stores in my portfolio, and it's almost daily people come in with large expenses and everything. I understand what you're saying, HVAC units go down and things like that. So
Mhm.
I just know it's a difficult job, and I agree. Just, we gotta talk about it, we gotta talk about it.
Yep.
That's good. Thank you, Dave.
All right, thank you.
Appreciate you coming in
Thank you.
and being early. Okay, speaking of a couple of other guys that are early, we would now like to welcome the fire department.
Through you, Mr. Chairman, if you wouldn't mind, I'm going to take a pass on this tonight, and Deputy Jermaine's going to present to you. He's been with the department well over 35 years and been my deputy 20 years. He's more capable than me, and he'll do a better job than me. So I'm going to take a pass over here and let you enjoy, okay?
Okay, thank you, chief.
Good.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Eric. Let's see, where are we with,
Which tab are we on this time?
We're on tab 2, a small tab, and you're gonna go to page 20.
very good, okay.
Everybody good?
We are ready, Eric.
All right.
Please proceed.
Thank you. Good evening. Thank you, Chief Weston. Obviously, like he said, he's asked me to speak tonight, so I'll try not to disappoint. I guess first of all, so, you know, we've done this together. Like the Chief said, we've done this for a lot of years together, and we really value the relationships that we formed with, obviously, past boards and the current board. There's some new members here, some new faces. I see some familiar faces and some new faces. And one thing you'll learn about us is we're very transparent. We're very open. Through the chair, if either of the newer board members or any future members ever want to come and see our operation, see how we do things, see our facilities, our apparatus, and see where the money goes, obviously our doors are always open, and we're welcome to have you come in. We'd love to do that. So that offer's always there. Again, it's a pleasure to sit here and sit and discuss our budget with you. I'd like to begin with a brief update on our fire department. For those of you, you know, that don't know how we work, our fire department is an on-call firefighting system. It is healthy and running very strong. Our group continues to exceed the benchmarks of career fire departments regarding manpower, run times, training, readiness, resulting in an ISO and Insurance Services Office rating of a 2.2Y, which ranks our fire department, the Carver Fire Department, in the top 4% in the nation. So we're very proud of that. And a lot of that, obviously, we can't do what we do without budget and without collaboration from the boards and committees and the town administrator and the finance director, and obviously the taxpayer also. And every one of your firefighters that works for this community is a taxpayer here. So we value the value that we bring to the table and how our system works. And we know that what we do is financially right for the town. So that's why we continue to do what we do.
I'd just like to interrupt you for a minute, Eric, and go back to the ISO rating of 2, which puts you in the top 4% of the country, which is just absolutely phenomenal for a call fire department to have that kind of a rating. And it's a better rating than many or maybe most of the full-time fire departments in the area have. So that's just a testament
Something we're very proud of.
to the fire department, and you should be very proud of it. And Carver's, you know, had their call fire department for how many years now?
Since the inception of...
Since, yeah. I can remember when I started in '93, you know. But it's just a phenomenal accomplishment, and you guys did it. So thank you.
Thank you for that.
Does that not affect people's insurance rates as well?
It
not?
does. So we have, so you could call your insurance company. Not all insurance companies honor the ISO rating, but most do. So you as a resident, you could call your homeowner's insurance company and tell them of and we have documentation at the fire station that you can take and send it to them. And basically, they should be able to lower your rate based on that rating. And that's kind of how that works. So, Chief, what did we say that the average cost savings was? Do you remember?
We've seen cost savings per resident, per household, anywhere from $200 to $600 per resident. And when you figure that out, when your fire department's costing you about, I think it was figured at around $70 or $80 per person, that's a big savings when you're savings the homeowners almost, you know, pick a number,
Get it
they
free.
can range. But that's a big standard. So that came with a lot of cooperation to do that.
You could look at that and say our fire protection as a resident is free if I'm getting that much back from my insurance company. So you can look at that a couple different ways, but thank you for that.
Okay, thank you, Eric.
Yep.
Please continue.
So right now, we are in a very busy hiring season. We finished up second interviews last night with a group of candidates. Right now, it looks like we're going to bring 5 new firefighters on. That comes with a whole hiring process that's very labor intensive, and then a training process that runs for about 6 months that our whole group, our training group, will be involved in. And so that's something that takes up a lot of time and effort, and I'm very proud of that, how that works. So that's happening right now. That will, you know, people ask, well, why you bring on 5, or what, you know, why that number? So basically what we're trying to do is we try and, we lose personnel every year to retirements. Like I said before, every one of your firefighters is a town resident. Sometimes we lose firefighters because they have to move out of town, and then it just doesn't make sense for them to be a call firefighter in our community. So it's to kind of fill those gaps and keep that number. So our number is going to be 87 members strong once we bring these 5 on and they're fully trained. And so that will be our number for the next year, 87 firefighters. Our apparatus and equipment are in very good shape, and our budget looks good and is on track as we approach the halfway point of this budget cycle for FY26. At this point, we expect to finish FY26 on budget. With that said, winter is here. Some of the things that we can't control in our budget when it comes to firefighter salaries is a big one. And I heard Dave Siedentoff talked about some of the things that you can't predict. One thing we can't predict is the winter season and storms, large storms, things like that, when we have to bring in a lot of staffing, the frequency of those occurrences, more calls, more manpower, more hours, stuff like that. And so when we budget each year, you know, we kind of run with the trends and we try and forecast where we might be. But if we have a heavy year of calls and manpower hours and things like that, it's like a snowplow budget. It can kind of tip you over the edge, and those are really the uncertainties that might drive us to be off budget. One of the things, you know, again, that would negatively impact our budget. The other thing is unforeseen breakdowns of equipment and apparatus. You know, we all know how, I heard you guys talk about building maintenance and things like that. Fire apparatus, anytime you put the word fire in front of something, you might as well take the price and double it. So anytime we have a breakdown, things like that, those are unforeseen circumstances that can really kind of drive the budget in a direction that's not, not good. And so, in any of those cases, we would do our best to handle them within our budget. And obviously, we would communicate any budgetary concerns with the select board, the town administrator, finance committee director, chairman of the finance committee, and the people that need to know if we thought that we might not be able to meet the budget coming down the road, getting towards the end of a fiscal year. So, so that's how we, we kind of handle that. Understand our budget is lean and we are frugal by design. That's just the way we are. I think Craig kind of learned that from our previous chief, and he's instilled that in me, and that's just the way we work. Our budget is lean, and we are frugal by design, and we try to keep our financial impact to the taxpayer as minimal as possible. Again, we're all taxpayers. We see where the money goes. We know where the money goes. We never ask for anything that's not needed. We don't go for wants. We ask for needs, and so that's how we work. Our conservative approach to formulating our budget is something that we are very proud of and something that we are committed to. And so that's kind of how we get to where we are. So if there's no questions, I'd like to get right into our budget. Okay. So you should have a nice printed document. If you want to follow on that, please be my guest. I'll reference some pages as we go. Our budget chart is located on page 4 in your booklet, and I believe that's the one that Karen had referenced the tab that you're following. So however you want to look at that, that's fine. The tab in your booklet has detailed notes and backup information as to how each line item is calculated. You can see that we're very transparent, and we try and give you as much information as possible so that you can see how every line item is calculated. Located on page 2. Okay, so on page 2 you'll see some notes, and you can put that together with the chart. And again, any questions that you have would hopefully be answered there. And obviously that's why I'm here also. You can follow along however you wish. This is a level services budget with minimal increases to salary in our operating budget. And I would like to start with our salary line item. Our FY27 salary budget is $809,668, which includes contractual increases for the fire chief's position, a 2% step raise and 2% COLA for the deputy chief, which is my position, an assistant deputy chief, an assistant deputy chief position, our full-time dispatcher, and then we have 9 part-time dispatchers, and again, that number of 87 firefighters once we bring these new 5 on board. So, so that really equals a 4% increase, and you should be able to follow that in the far right column on your chart, in the percent change column. So again, the percent of increase in each salary line item is 4%, and that is reflected in that column. In keeping with salary for a moment, if you want to look through your booklet, pages 5 and 6 are the Excel budget template that we use to formulate our salary budget. So you can see how we do it in-house before it gets to the finance director, and she puts it in that nice chart for you. So we do it all in Excel on our own, and then that gets transferred. Page 5 is a summary sheet with very detailed notes at the bottom, and again, nobody expects you to read it today, but these are for you to keep, so you should be able to follow those notes and see exactly how we got to where we are. Page 6 is a complete breakdown of how each item is calculated in a pictorial format. And you can see, if you can follow those arrows, God bless you, but there's a lot of arrows and call-outs in there, but if you can follow that with your ruler, and you should be able to, I mean, really, it's kind of a blueprint in the, it's actually pretty good to look at. So that should show you what you need to know there. Page 8 is the fire department non-union wage scale. So if you look at that, the town has a non-union wage scale, and that's the fire department non-union wage scale. In the notes, you can see where each position falls in that wage scale, and again, follow it along in the calculation, and it'll show you how the salaries got to where they are. Let's see. Page 9 is our dispatcher budget breakdown and how that is calculated. And again, if you just flip the page to page 9, that is right out of a program that we use to calculate our dispatcher budget. And I hate to keep repeating myself, but if you just follow that through the calculations, it'll show you how it all tallies up. Any questions on salaries? Again, if you look at the column on the right, it's basically the 2% COLA and the 2% step, and that equals that 4% for each. Yes, sir?
It stands out, the dispatcher budget increase is only 3% versus everything else is 4%.
So we have a new full-time dispatcher that just started, and so I think it's a combination of Matt's salary going back, and does that make sense, Chief?
Yeah, the salary for our past dispatcher was higher, been there for a longer time. And so we have a newer dispatcher who's doing a great job, and but her salary is starting at a low rate, so actually reflects a little bit lower on the dispatcher side. So.
Than the expended for FY26. So, anything else on salaries? Salaries good? Okay. I'd like to move on to the operating budget. Our operating budget is $150,200, which is an increase from FY26 of $6,520, and that cost is mainly due to increased costs of maintenance, labor, and parts for apparatus and equipment, and obviously our building. Anything that's not covered by maintenance in grounds, we try and cover in our budget. So that's about a 5% increase. Our line items, each line item in our operating budget has been adjusted to reflect actual expenditures. So we do basically a 3-year average. We look at the line items and see where we are. And then this year, you can see the percentages of increase and decrease in that percentage change column. Those are due to actual expenditures and where we adjusted it to try and meet those. And so you can see, again, where each line item changed, and then overall, when you get to the bottom line, the increase in our budget was $6,520 on the operating side. Happy to go through each line item if you want to. No? Good. Yeah, page 6 in your packet is the Excel version of our operating budget request. So you can, again, look at that. And then basically that's our operating side. Any questions? Mr. Chair, you've asked about previous year's budget. So actually,
Like last year, last full fiscal year.
yeah, so last year, we came in under budget, and so we were fortunate enough to be able to turn roughly $30,000 back to the town. So that was last year's budget. And then, so FY '25. FY '26, this year, again, we're right, almost at the midway point. We seem to be right on track. So that's kind of where
That's good.
seem to be going. We also have, in the packet, we have capital requests. I don't know if that's something that you wanted to get into, but they're there for your reading pleasure.
No, different group.
Yep, just did, okay.
Different group, yeah.
Just making sure.
You'll get your chance with them.
Any questions
Any
now?
questions for the deputy chief? Or the chief? Either one.
Chief, anything you want to add, Chief?
These salary lines, they include benefits and everything in there too?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
The only thing I'd add is, you know, again, Carver does have a call fire department, an outstanding call fire department. I'm gonna say this town saves millions of dollars by having a call fire department and not a full-time fire department.
Very true.
Certainly the town of Bourne, you would see this budget triple. So, because they had a full-time fire department.
It does.
That's one of the things that, you know, we're very proud of, and you know, it's not something we advertise, but it is, that's what we bring to the table. Low cost, you know, very high level of service at a low cost. The chief received something from an area chief a few weeks ago. It was budgets of other fire departments surrounding, and the numbers, we're not even a quarter of what, not even a quarter of what, you know, what they spend, and their level of service is much lower. And again, we're not throwing stones at anybody. We're all in the same business. We're all friends, and we all provide mutual aid, and we know most of these people personally. It's just the system's different. This system adds such a value to our community and the taxpayer. It allows the other departments to have, you know, if we said we wanted to have a full-time career fire department today, you're talking about $4 or $5 million, and your level of service is going to go way down. And that $4 or $5 million is going to come from other departments where right now we enjoy the luxury of having that money to spread. That would go away, you know. So those are the things that we value every day. That's why we do what we do. We pay taxes here too. I know what my tax would be if we went up another $5 million, $4 million. So that's why we do what we do, and we love it. Labor love.
Is the training for a call fire department, is that more serious than it would be for?
I don't know if I'd use the word serious. I would say our department has been and always will be committed to training. We don't have a staff that's on duty 24 hours a day. So our people train when they're home from work and their weekends and things like that. If you look at our training building across the street, you'll see activity there all the time. It's just constantly being used. So we have a regimented training schedule, and then we have, I don't know if you'd call it optional training, where our folks would come and you know, our captains and lieutenants would get their groups together and do different things. We talked about our new hires, so our new hires will go through firefighter 1-2 training, which is a basic level of firefighter training. That will happen by our instructors in our facility, so it's all self-contained. We don't go to the academy, we don't bring in outside instructors, we do it all ourselves. When we finish that, so again, we're talking about 6 months away, we usually wait about a year, and then we'll take those firefighters and hopefully get them into, and we can't force them, most of them choose to, but we put them in the academy firefighter 1-2 study group. We do all that here, but then we bring them to the academy to state certify as firefighter 1-2, and that's that really is a national certification because it's reciprocal in other states. So yeah, we're heavy on training by design. We're only as good as how well we train.
No, as well as it should be.
Yeah, and you know, you can't expect us to go and, you know, go to a house fire, you know, once every few months if that's the frequency of it. If we don't train on that, it's not going to go well. So we're very, very proactive in training. Sorry if I went long on that. Did that answer your question?
Yes, absolutely.
Anything else for the deputy chief or the chief? Very good. Thanks very much, Eric.
Pleasure sitting with you folks. And again, if any of the new folks anybody wants to go over and see our stuff, please do. Love to have you.
Anytime, if you come into a situation where you're having a problem, you know where we are.
Thank you, sir.
Very good. Thank you, Bob.
Thank you, everybody.
And next, we'll have the police department. Thank you guys for showing up early too, as we had a, we did have a,
Okay, do they have a copy of that? Okay, thank you. I'm sorry?
we did have a, one person that was supposed to give a presentation that couldn't make it, so everything got, everything's early. So thank you for coming early.
Sure.
And we've got Police Chief here, Mark Dufely. I just want to make note that this will be Mark's last budget presentation. He will be retiring, and I would just like to say what a pleasure it's been to work with you over a lot of years that we've known each other.
Thank you.
And just what a pleasure it is, and just for your, for how you've, you know, benefited the town, and for your reputation, and we appreciate that very much. So
Well, thank you very much. Thank you for your kind words. I appreciate that, and thank you for giving me a few minutes tonight to talk about our budget for next year. Behind me is Matt Rayner. He's been chosen by the Select Board to replace me next year, so next year he'll be up here talking to you about it. And I understand that you have the latest updated document with the budgets.
We do, but let me just, what page are we on?
Tab 2, page 18.
Number 2? Big number 2 or small number 2? Small number 2. Okay. Thank you. Got it.
So before we get into the numbers, if you don't mind, I just talk a little bit about the department. I'll start off by saying I just listened to the deputy chief talk about their budget, and I will concur that we first have the greatest public safety team in the state, in Carver. We're very, very fortunate. We have a lot of good team members, and as the deputy mentioned, without the service that they provide, for the cost that they provide, we wouldn't be operating the police department in the manner that we can, because the town doesn't have the money to have a full-time police department and a full-time fire department. So without that mutual cooperation between police, fire, EMS, and operations and maintenance, you wouldn't be receiving the services that you are receiving in this town without that cooperation. So it's been a pleasure to work with them for the past 12 years as well, and that cooperation has let all the departments grow and provide better services to the residents of Carver. So we're grateful for that, and on my final meeting with you, I would encourage everybody to continue that plan, continue what we're doing, because it does provide quality service to the residents of this town. So, and that said, normally this meeting's a little later on, so we usually have the numbers for the year we're in. I'll use some numbers from 2024 because we're not done with 2025 yet. Just to talk a little bit about what the department's done, and then we can work through the budget if you like, and go from there. So during 2024, the Carver Police Department logged 16,298 calls for service. That's over 2,000 calls more than in 2023. Right now, today, we're at 16,255, and we're not through 2025 yet. That comes out to about 45 calls for service per day, handled by 19 police officers, 2 animal control officers, 5 dispatchers, and a part-time record clerk. A partial breakdown of those calls includes dealing with 154 domestic disturbances, serving 89 restraining orders, handling 292 motor vehicle crashes, affecting 746 motor vehicle stops for traffic violations, checking on 223 burglar alarms, conducting background investigations related to 380 licenses to carry firearms, and completing 830 records requests. We've also worked hand in hand with our public safety partners, the fire department and EMS, and assisted in slightly over 1,800 calls with them. In collaboration with the Carver Police Union and other public safety partners, we hosted another successful Carver Night Out at the high school back in August. Our police union also organized a toy drive just last week and provided holiday meals at the Council on Aging for Thanksgiving, and as well as a summer cookout with them.
Our school resource officer and our other officers continue to work with the school department to ensure the safety of and to help educate our young people. We have a partnership with Plymouth County Outreach, which Carver was one of the stakeholders when this project began. And that project provides follow-up to people suffering from substance use disorder after they have an overdose, to get them into treatment right away. We started this back in 2015 when we were experiencing a high level of opioid overdose deaths. And we've been continuing on for the past 10 years, affecting and helping to affect a lot of people that are suffering from substance use disorder and their families. The budget we have for next year includes all the contractual increases for police, dispatch, and the non-union personnel wage increases for the admin assistant, the records clerk, the animal control officers. This year, our deputy chief, Sherry Cemento, retired back in November. As you mentioned, scheduled to retire in March. Sergeant Dennis Rizzuto is retiring in May. And we've begun the hiring process to be able to fill those positions in a timely manner. As I mentioned earlier, the select board did vote to make Sergeant Matt Rayner the next chief. He'll be taking over from me in my retirement in March. And one other nice note, we had another promotion to sergeant for Brandon Rudolph, one of our officers that started back with us back in 2018. The responsibility of preparing and expending the budget for our police department has been one of my most important tasks. I believe I've taken that responsibility very seriously over the past 12 years. Working with this committee, our select board, and our officers, we've ensured that the taxpayers' money is spent wisely to provide the best law enforcement service to our citizens. Similar to what the deputy mentioned about how they spend the money as well. We know that this money that we're spending comes out of everybody's wallet, and we take that very seriously, and we don't waste your money. Finally, let me thank you again for your support and trust as your police chief, and allow me to take a moment to acknowledge the hard work of our officers, our public safety dispatchers, our firefighters, our EMS personnel, our DPW personnel, and everyone else is out there every day keeping this community safe. So thank you for giving me a few minutes to talk about that. One of my favorite things is talking about this department, and I will miss it. Now, on to the budget, the fun stuff. We talked this morning, we're not going to go line by line. So before I start, is there any specific points or anything that you have as a question that I can answer first? So I guess we'll start with salaries then. If you notice, the salaries are, there's a 7% increase there, but the reality is we had a minor glitch in how we processed this. We were in contract negotiations when we submitted our original budget last year, and then we completed contract negotiations after town meeting. So the amount that's listed for right now, FY26 budget of $2,016,000 is slightly off. We need really $2,080,000. So it's off by about $64,000. So if you took the difference between the FY27 budget of $2,159,000 and $2,080,000, the difference would really be about 4%, which is where we should be. So that's just explain that 7%. And that is contractual raises that are in the police union contract to cover the police officers that we currently have. There is an increase. I've increased the line item there for police security. That's the security that we provide at the high school. I increased that by 10% to $5,000 because obviously with a new contract and new raises, their overtime rates rise as well. So to be able to get the same level of service that we provided this year, we would need to increase that line item. Dispatch and clerical salaries are all in here as they should be. Dispatch salary is the same thing. We didn't have that contract signed as well when we did it, so there's going to be some adjustments based on what we originally proposed in the budget to what we have today. So that's what explains the the numbers there. But again, these numbers are all based on the contracts, the contractual increases they get for being a police officer dispatcher. Not much we can do about making any adjustments there. Do we have any questions on that?
Just the animal control went up 20%. Is that our added addition?
No. So what we have part-time animal control, and we've had a lot greater number of calls for animal control. So we've added some hours into that. We try to keep them both at 19 hours. In the past, we were at 16 hours for them, but we're just not able to keep up with the level of calls for service with the two that we have under that. So we had to increase that a bit.
And Chief, that's to reduce the overtime that's required if these have to go out for calls, right?
Yeah, well, for animal control, I mean, the police do back the animal control up as well, yes, but just to have them to go come in and respond to animal calls when we need them, we've been spending more on them, so we want to get in line with that. Does that make sense? Okay. Operationally, we had proposed some increases, and then in discussion with the finance director and town administrator, we've worked some back to come up with what we have today. I think we're now at the recommendations that the town administrator has listed in there. We had a good discussion today about those changes, and we believe this will move us forward. Obviously, the total increase is only going to be $4,700 out of a $263,000 budget. I don't think that so it's only a 2% increase. We can go through them line by line if you would like, but we don't, as the deputy mentioned just before me, we don't ask for anything we don't need. There's no luxury items in here. We do the best we can with the money we have to make things work. I think I've talked before at this committee and the capital committee, we have a cruiser program, which is capital, not this, but in that cruiser program, we issue one cruiser to each officer, and then we get, on average, 7 to 10 years out of those cruisers, which is unheard of in our industry. Cruisers usually last 2-3 years. We've also looked at how do we spend the town's money more wisely. We've purchased used cruisers for our admin fleet, for our deputy chief, for our detective sergeant, admin sergeant, because we can get a used vehicle at a better value, and it's not going to be a frontline vehicle, so we save money there. We're always looking to save the town money, to make sure that we would spend the money just like I would spend it if I was buying a car for myself. And we do the same thing with every piece of equipment that we buy here. If we're asking for it, we need it. So is there any questions or anything more I could explain? I'm happy to explain anything you want.
I'm just curious, it's got nothing to do with you, but how many miles do you get on a police cruiser?
So the plan is designed for 7 years or 155,000 miles. We usually probably get about 100,000, because it's still a pretty big town to drive around. But because we're limiting the number of shifts they have, because we limit one officer to one cruiser, the mileage doesn't go up as high as that program does.
And one of the things with the cruises, once an officer starts it up for a shift, it runs for 8 hours continuously. That's one thing. It's the wear and tear.
It's the hours on the engine more than anything else. I was just talking. So we usually keep a couple of the cars at the end to be used on details, and we have one cruiser out there that's got about 14,000 hours on the cruiser. It's not the miles; it's how long it's been sitting there running. So.
That was just curiosity.
Yeah, almost like a boat engine, right?
Yeah.
So many hours.
We've done but the program does an excellent job of because the cruiser is assigned to one officer. That officer takes care of it like it's their vehicle. Obviously, it's a good tool for accountability, but they take care of it because it's their vehicle. All their equipment is in that vehicle. Everything they need every day is in that vehicle. And if you compare our maintenance costs for our cruisers compared to even Hanson that does a 2-officer per cruiser, our maintenance costs are a lot lower because we're changing oil, we're changing brakes, and we're maintaining these cars. We're not changing engines and transmissions and things that would go on a car that's being driven 2-3 shifts a day. So we've saved money that way by investing in having the cruiser program that we do. We found a great advantage to that program during COVID when other departments were very concerned. Well, we were all very concerned about, the whole department getting COVID and not being able to come to work. We were able to have the officers take the cruisers home, come back to work, sign on the air in work, never have to come into the station, could stay in their cruiser. You know what I mean? So we were able to limit contact that way that other departments didn't have that ability. So there's a lot of little benefits that come to the work. And the reason I brought it up, though, is I think that is a very valuable use of the town's money to be able to maintain those cruisers the way we do. And to get the value out of them. By the time we're done with them, we're going to get about $1,000 trading value. You know what I mean? That we've used that car as much as we can use it. You mentioned there's 2 new members. I see there are.
Yes.
I don't know if any of you had a tour of the station, but we're always open and willing if you guys want to stop by and take a look at our station. We're very proud of it. We're very fortunate that the town voted to spend all the money to build that station. It's beautiful, and we'd love to show it off. So if anybody would
How
like us,
exciting was it to walk in there when you opened it?
well, I got the opportunity of working in the old station for quite some time, and then as we built it, I was there just about every day, so I watched it go up. And
I'd been in the old one when I got my first license to carry, and I went, really?
Yeah, you should take a tour of the old station, then go take a tour of the new station.
well, we're in a
You'll
much
see
better
the
place
difference.
today, and we're very grateful to the taxpayers for that as well.
Any other questions or comments for the chief? No, we're good. Well, again, thank you, chief.
Thank you.
For your dedication and service to the town. Pleasure to work with you, and we'll welcome Matt Rayner. And we thank you both for coming.
Thank you very much. Thanks for your time. I appreciate it.
Stay safe for the next couple of months. Hide
Thank you.
behind everything, all right?
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Okay, so that brings us to the end. We didn't get the Board of Health in here tonight, so they'll,
Did he say Monday he wants to come back, or?
he's gonna
We'll change the agenda.
reschedule.
Okay.
Yeah, so we may have that on Monday night. And that's it for tonight. So any other final comments from anybody? No? We have a motion to adjourn.
Make a motion to adjourn.
My second.
Okay, second. And all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, we're good. Thank you.